coming up next on The Beat Goes On, it's Ken Ring from PredictWeather.com. After the recent eclipse, Ken had voiced some concerns about what may happen in September and October of this year. Ken has been right about earthquake predictions before, so let's all pay special attention. It's the one and only wonderful Ken Ring in the studios of The Beat Goes On. Wow!
Hi, Jared. Thanks for having us.
How are you, Ken?
Good, thanks.
Your wonderful adversary, Mr. John Campbell. Ooh, what do you think of the John Campbell? I mean, if there's any two people in New Zealand that have had a little bit of a set to, it's you and John Campbell, isn't it?
Well, yeah, he did me a favour and he did me a disservice, put it that way, but I guess he was only doing his job. But yeah, it was unnecessary. It was a bit of unnecessary bullying that did affect my family at the time. But yeah, it did have the effect of getting me studying earthquakes more intensely.
Yes, it did, didn't it?
Because I was kind of forced into that position, because on the 7th of September, the head geologist came out and said there wouldn't be another earthquake in Christchurch for 500 to 600 years. And I'd been following them all that year. All that year there had been 16 over 5 magnitude earthquakes in Christchurch, and I could see that it was working up to something.
Yeah.
And coming again the next year, the first half of the next year, February or March. So I put out a tweet that said, no, in Christchurch there'll be another one in 6 months' time. And that's when
the big
stuff hit the fan.
Yeah, and he accused you of fear-mongering, you know, frightening people.
Well, he accused me of being unqualified, but then I put it to him that Richie McCaw and Sir Edmund Hillary and Kiri Te Kanawa were also unqualified, but they make a difference. And then I found out later that he doesn't even have a qualification to be a broadcaster, a journalist. So I didn't know that at the time.
But Ken, I saw you the other night and I said, hello Ken, how are you? And you said, hello Jared. And then I said, anything new? And you said, you are a little bit concerned. We've just had the big eclipse. And that could lead on to something rather disturbing. So that's why I said, Ken, you've got to come in and tell us, because you were right the last time.
Yeah.
So you better let us know what you're fearing this time. So.
Right. Well, I did get the largest earthquakes right in terms of tweets beforehand. It's a matter of public record there. So I'm using the same method. And yeah, as you say, the eclipse is the key thing.
The lunar code.
Because when there's a country that can see an eclipse about between 2 and 4 months down the track, that country gets something destructive. And down here, it's usually an earthquake. So before the Christchurch earthquake in September, there was an eclipse in July. There was one in December, which led to the 22nd of February. Yeah, there was an eclipse before the Napier earthquake, before all the big earthquakes, the one in Fiordland, 2009. So, and we've just had this eclipse, April the 4th. Now, the next eclipse is not till 2018, and then the one in 2021. So this is the closest in terms of both the sun and moon cycles as well. So a lot of things are coming together in September. The closest moon for the year. Also, this Mercury factor. All the big earthquakes have Mercury, sun and Earth in a line. And that's what happened for all the Christchurch earthquakes, except for the one on the 20th, and it was in a square position, which is still an aspect. But
now, it doesn't always happen, but this is sufficient warning. If you look at the past, you can read the future to a certain degree.
Well, look, the Hindu people have been doing this for 5,000 years. They've been writing about predicting earthquakes. It's not a new science. It's not unsubstantiated. It's just that Western geologists don't go that way. They prefer to wait until an earthquake happens, go and have a look at what's happened and try and work out from the scar on the landscape called the fault when the next one's going to come. Well, you can't look at a scar on your arm and predict the next accident. You know, so there hasn't been one seismologist who has predicted an earthquake.
Well, now here's the thing, but you had some disturbing news. You've said we've had the 4th of April eclipse. Some months later, an earthquake will occur, and you've picked out the area where you think it most vulnerable?
Well, yes, central New Zealand.
Central New Zealand.
Because you bring in a solar cycle to see where the cluster is going to arrive the next time a big potential comes for the country. And it was Christchurch last time. There were 70 above 5s between 2009 2011, and that was a repeat from the early 1990s. This time it's central New Zealand. So on a 12 and 24 year cycle, it's coming up for either this year or maybe 2018. But this year is the better candidate because in September you've got these other factors all coming together.
In. So round about September. So who is the most vulnerable? You think Wellington?
Well, anywhere between Wairarapa and Marlborough. You know, you can't pinpoint the street or the side of the road.
Or the fault.
Yeah, I mean, in the early 1990s, it was Arthur's Pass, which was 70 kilometres from the CBD in Christchurch. It was still that region. There were 12,000 that year, you know, so 1994. So you've got to say somewhere in that area. And I wouldn't be panicking, you know, if I lived down there, but I would ring mark the calendar, say between the 27th of September and the 2nd of October. That's the leeway period. And I would just, you know, keep an eye on rumbles that were occurring round about the place, little warnings, because there are warnings. Nature doesn't do anything without a rehearsal, you know, just like a piece of theatre.
I love that. Say that again. Nature doesn't do anything without a rehearsal.
Yeah, there's always little pre-emptings that come, you know.
Well, if there's anybody that knows about it, it's Ken Ring. This is your book, The Lunar Code. I mean, you've written a book about it, so, I mean, you know as much as anybody about the Lunar Code. So, you know what I'd love to do, Ken? What about giving 2 of the Lunar Codes away to our viewers? Good. They'd love to have this.
Yeah.
And be prepared for around about September, October.
End of September, round about.
End of September, early October.
You know, but the message is just to be prepared, not to be scared.
Okay, let's make that. Be prepared, don't be scared.
Yeah, because it might not happen.
It might not,
But it's not going to happen without potential. But then, you know, can I get a word in about the snow this year?
Oh, yes,
Gerard?
yes.
Because
before we give the word, people will be saying, when is he going to give the book away?
Because a lot of people are asking me, and this is a good opportunity to say, you know, it's not going to be that good in the North Island, unfortunately. Even in the South Island, it's because it's going to be a milder winter. And like, especially the snow that's there now is going to go pretty quickly. May is going to be a very dry month for the whole country. So whatever snow base is there is going to disappear.
Evaporate.
You know, June, only a couple of small opportunities. July, the North Island probably won't get snow till the end of July, skiable snow. And even then, you know, it's going to be dismal.
Patchy.
This is the last year of this. Next year is going to be much better.
Okay. Let's give that book away, Ken. The Lunar Code by Ken Ring. We need a question. And the question is, I think, what occurs when the sun, the moon, and the earth are all in a line? Right. And it starts with E. Do you think we should give it to them, eclipse?
Yeah, good
well, okay. So, baby boomers, email Jared at thebeatgoeson.co.nz. And for the subject line, you're going to put eclipse, and we're going to pick 2 winners, 2 books. Thank you, Ken. That's very generous of you to give these books away. And I know our baby boomer friends will just love this book. It looks great. Ken, we're going to see you again.
Always a pleasure.
Probably around about September, October. Yeah, we better talk again then. Okay, thanks, Ken.